My name is Vince Pierri, and I help people make viral infographics.
You didn't always help people make viral infographics. I want to back up to the beginning, maybe not that far back, but pretty far back, a couple of years. You were a full-time pastor and you delivered sermons each week to like hundreds of people. How does that guy make the leap to, at the time, was becoming a public speaking coach?
Yeah, great question. If we even go further back, I was pursuing music full time for like 3 or 4 years back in the day. Back in my 20s, that's way back. It's funny, every big change I've made is like the weirdest change. Like everyone who knew me from the music days was like, "You're becoming a pastor? What the heck?" Like,
Like,
what?
didn't see that coming.
Didn't see that coming. And then I go from pastor to like LinkedIn world, and people are like, "What?" I always say this, even though nobody cares, but the plan is to go back to pastoring. That's still the most likely path. I stepped out of that, actually, nothing to do with LinkedIn. The LinkedIn thing helped make it possible to not have to go get another job. But the plan was to do both indefinitely. And when I go back in, I'll try to do both as well at the time.
It makes logical sense as a public speaker, as a pastor, speaking to hundreds of people each week, to become a public speaking coach. I think that there's not a huge logic leap from one to the other. I want to know why you decided to do it, though.
Okay. Well, this part's less sexy. Like, pastors don't make a lot of money. I don't know if there's like stereotypes
Who would
about
have ever
like,
guessed?
there's stereotypes about the megachurch pastor, rolling up in the Escalade and that sort of thing. And that's like 0.0000001% of pastors. So, I was running a $1.3 million organization, the church, but it's a nonprofit and you've got like 10 staff just to keep the thing afloat. And you have a big chunk going to your mortgage for this 45,000 square foot facility that you bought. So there's so little money to go around for the people. So I was like, I'd love to be able to have a little bit of money to give to my daughter for college someday. And I'd love to not be living like, if one thing goes wrong, we like have to put it on a credit card. You know what I mean? So it was largely financially motivated, but probably a lot of your listeners know my brother Anthony, who had been doing the LinkedIn thing already. And he, for like a year and a half, 2 years, was like, just try to build an audience and build a business. And I was like, I don't have time for that. I don't even know what that really means. What would I even sell? But it was really having our first kid. It was like I was holding my first child and I was like, this is, again, it sounds so funny, holding my first child going, I got to make some money.
It's funny. It's something that having kids will do that to you.
Right? Yeah, before that, it's like me and my wife, and it's like, oh, I'll figure it out. But then you have a kid and you're like, I got to make some money. So that's really why
Yeah.
I started. Why I
Well,
started
Anthony was
on that.
also trained to become a pastor.
He was a
Uh,
full-time pastor as well. He was not a lead pastor, he was like an assistant pastor,
oh,
but he
so
was
you
in
got him
full-time
there.
ministry for a while. Yeah, super newbie, it's just a
Super newbie.
yeah.
I figured that he probably encouraged you to start building on LinkedIn because he's like he's been able to see so much success doing it. He's like, well, why wouldn't everybody try to do this? So you were doing what they call bivocational pastors, where you were doing this thing, you were doing this other thing, trying to build up the speaking business. Was that on the side, or did you end up leaving the church and starting this thing? Like, what was that transition like?
So bivocational often means you're a part-time pastor, full-time marketplace outside of pastor. So
Oh,
technically I wouldn't have been considered bivocational because I was full-time pastor, part-time something else. It's more just like a side hustle.
oh, who knew?
Yep, that's just random terminology.
So, did you end up leaving the church and then starting on LinkedIn, or were you building this LinkedIn thing on the side, trying to figure out if you can get a few speaking coaching clients, and then you ended up leaving?
So the timeline was basically I was still full-time pastor, had a kid, thought I got to make some money on the side, started posting on LinkedIn. That side hustle ended up making more money than my pastor job, even though I was doing it, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week. But still, then at the time and now, still felt like really like that's what I want to spend a lot of my life doing. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm making money now, I couldn't quit pastoring. I stayed in for quite a while doing both. And then this is a long story. There's zero interest to your listeners probably, but we had moved to this town to take over a church as me stepping into the pastor role. I did not do enough research on the area, and it was much more southern than I realized. It was much more rural than I realized. We thought it was very quickly growing into like a suburb of Cincinnati, but it was really the first town where you're like fully out of Cincinnati culture and you're in like rural Kentucky culture. So it took me like 5 years to sort of like come to terms with like, this is probably not the right, I'm not the best fit for this city for the next, 25 years. So we knew we wanted to step out of that role and then sort of explore what was next for ministry. So that's like why I am full-time LinkedIn now, is just because we were taking that break anyway. It just gave me more time to put into it, and now I spend more time on it. But yeah, we're planning on taking a year or two off and then planning to get back in.
So how'd you acquire your first few coaching clients?
So this is where I was thinking back to that thing I posted where you and Erica were like, this is such a backwards way to think about it. And you're probably right. But I came into the whole LinkedIn thing very much with a build an audience, figure out how to monetize it. So I started just like researching various tech things, learning about marketing, learning about tech, no destination in mind. And because I don't have a tech background, so I started learning about tech from watching podcasts about tech and watching conferences, like tech conferences. And I would watch these speakers, delivering in front of thousands of people. And I was like, I would not hire this guy to run the kids ministry. Like the ability to communicate in the church world, because it's so central and everyone is constantly doing it, it's just a very different game. Like a pastor speaking 45 times a year, a CEO speaking maybe once a year, maybe twice a year to a large group. It's just such a different world. So I thought maybe that's the thing I could sort of sell, is just helping, especially people in tech, like sort of figure out public speaking. So I just started posting. The goal was really build the audience now, monetize it later. It was a very like long game mindset because I had a full-time job. So there was some positioning stuff Anthony had taught me, like still aim for an ICP, aim for that like particular pain point, the particular moment. So like my headline for a long time was, I help SaaS leaders nail their first conference talk. And then almost all the content was about helping people nail their first conference talk. I've never given a big talk before, and I have to give my first one. So it was 100% inbound. My current business is also 100% inbound still. Again, there's pluses and minuses to that, but I would just post content on that topic, very much geared toward that moment in time. And I really did have an unfair advantage being Anthony's brother, though, because there was so much association. There still is so much association. There's less now, but in the early days, I got clients much faster than I would have without that, like people going, oh, Anthony's brother's on LinkedIn. So
I appreciate you just acknowledging it. It's like there's definitely an amount of tailwinds you get when someone with his size followings basically tags you on something. He's like, hey, go see what he's doing. And I still remember the nail your first conference talk. Like I remember that headline. That's how I discovered your content. So
yeah, I love that.
It's sticky though.
Very sticky. Yep.
It's good. But so you start acquiring clients. When did you start doing the infographics? What prompted that? I mean, your brother, again, like, so he was doing infographics with a ton of success. So I'm sure he was like, hey, the bar is so fucking low. How about he's like, just do any amount of decent visual and you will see plenty of success. But how did you end up starting to do that? And that became, and I know eventually that became the thing, but what was the first go at that like?
Mm-hmm. So funnily enough, at the beginning, he was selling knowledge, like positioning frameworks. So it's like, what's the easiest way to sell positioning frameworks? Through infographics, right? With me doing public speaking coaching, he was like, you should do video. you should do video because that's sort of proof of concept in the video. You should do breakdowns of like live, like take video from conferences, you talk about it. So I tried several posts of video. They did not do that well. And I was like, maybe I'll just try an infographic because he's doing infographics. And then those immediately started performing better. So much luck, man. I just stumbled into the fact that 99% of speaking coaches on LinkedIn are very delivery oriented. They're very body language and posture and mindset and mantras. It's all very like, how do you like own the stage? So there was almost nobody posting about like how to actually create content specifically designed to be spoken. There was just this massive hole of all these people delivering talks, all of this advice on how to feel better, but nobody giving advice on how to actually write content designed for public speaking. So the infographics were a great medium to fill that gap specifically.
Makes sense. I mean, everything you see on public speaking is, well, one, it's like very broad and it's very mindset, or like the whole emphasis on the word first also helped filter the content, which I remember greatly because I was like, one day I'm going to give a talk. And so I was like, oh, this could apply to me. Like I remember reading it and thinking that stuff. So it is interesting to look back on that. So you start doing the infographics, and I assume at some point someone said, can you make one of those for me?
That was it, man. More and more people kept saying, how do you make those? How do you make those? Can you make them for me? I did one post that was like, everyone keeps asking me how to do this. I'm open to trying it for someone. So I got like 2 clients from that. This was like summer of 25, and they like did well, like performed well. And I was like, okay, I guess maybe this works. Then I ended up working secretly for a big LinkedIn creator in a similar vein who we were already buds. And he was like, hey, can you run my basically designer and writer team who are making content for my clients? So I was this sort of like secret creative director kind of thing. And I learned so much from that. I feel so bad because I did not know how to run that sort of system and it did not go very well. But I learned a lot about like what works and what doesn't, and started picking up more clients just kind of behind the scenes. People would say, how do you do those? And I'd say, you want me to make you one? And they'd be like, yep. And then I'd make them one or 2 or whatever. And then in November, as I was stepping out of the church thing, I was like, now I do have to make sure I'm making some decent money because I'm losing health insurance. I'm losing a full-time salary, which it's not like it was a big church, so it's not like a terribly low salary. It was enough that it was like, okay, we're going to really feel this. So I thought maybe there's just more money in the other side and let me see what happens. So I just offered this class on how to do it, which you mentioned maybe before we started recording about like the cohort that I run. I still run it to this day. It's just like a 4-week class on how to turn your thoughts into frameworks and how to do your frameworks into infographics. And it just sold like crazy, and then signed a bunch of one-on-one clients. And I was like, this is so stupid. Just like going so much better than the public speaking one. And the public speaking one was going well. Like it was a 6-figure side hustle, the public speaking thing. But then the infographics thing was just like, people were like so desperate to try to figure it out that I was like, okay, well, I don't even know why I'm doing anything else.
I remember seeing the first stuff for it. I'm also interested, real quick, just to back up, because you kind of glazed over this, was like you worked in secret with another LinkedIn creator to build this thing. How long were you doing that?
3 months or so.
You're saying it didn't work out. Like what didn't work out about it?
So he had signed and onboarded a bunch of clients before I started. And the system they had set up was basically, client, you provide us sales transcripts, call logs, call recordings, just a bunch of stuff, and then we'll make content based on it. I think somebody could have figured out how to do that and make it perform well, but I could not figure that out. And now when I do it for clients, I would never do it that way. It is very hands-on. It's very like a ton of thinking work on the client's end to like figure out what they want to say, how they want to say it, how we want to frame it. It's way fewer deliverables. Like the most deliverables I'll do for a client is like 2 a week, maybe. Most of them are like 1 a week. where with this was 5 posts a week. So you're just like banging. It wasn't all infographics, but it was supposed to be one carousel, 3 infographics, and then like one like kind of wild card, like text only or selfie or whatever.
God, it's a factory of content factory.
Freaking content factors, like 50 deliverables a week, all based on like sales transcripts, and it wasn't performing, and the clients were churning, and I was like, I don't know how to make this work, because it was, again, I think somebody could have made it work, but I had been making content with this very like expertise, like trying to find the most insanely valuable insight and then putting it into a visual.
It's slower than the content factory wants to produce. Like maybe we don't get 5 bangers. Like if we got 1 or 2, it's significantly more durable than if we get 5. I'm always interested in the partnership stuff because there's a lot of people that really want to do it, and there's a lot of people that have had bad experiences. And not to say that your experience was bad in every way, but you're saying it didn't work out. I'm curious, like, was there an option for you guys to figure out, be like, all right, well, let's improve the process and do it again? Or you were like, we should probably just, I'm going to do my thing and you do your thing.
The person I was doing it with was an incredible person, like zero hard feelings. If anything, I blew it. I thought, oh, I'll figure this out. I just like think that way. I'm like, oh, I'll figure this out. And then I'm like, I can't figure this out. It was a very amicable parting. I think it largely came down to this person was, I think, really sort of losing confidence in educational content, which I don't know, there was a big sort of like pushback against that maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Like, teaching content is done. I literally saw a post the other day. It was like the death of educational content. It was like a 50-page carousel being like, here's why this doesn't work anymore. And we have to go like much more story driven. So that person was really moving in that direction. And I was only like more convinced of these really dense, beefy, like resource level infographics performing well. So I think we just had different ideas of what was going to work on the platform.
But that's kind of the beauty of this work too, is that like, if you believe that education first content is the way to go, like, work with Vince. If you believe that this other story first content is the way to go, work with this other person. It makes it so much easier for people to decide. So actually, I appreciate that more than anybody, especially as we try to build offers for people. We look at it the same lens. It's like where you slice the pie matters, and to slice it in a way that makes it really easy. There's plenty of people that are like, no one cares about this story stuff, and they only care about the education stuff. And those are exactly the right people that you want to work with anyway.
Yep, 100%. I love that.
Talk to me about the cohort process. Like, I think you opened up, it was like $500 and it was like 50 people or something, the first one.
Yeah, so it was $500 a seat, and I did groups of 10 at a time. So I sold like 50 per month for like several months. We talked back then, and I was like, I don't think this is going to last forever. And
yeah, I was like, no,
I don't think it is either.
You're going to burn out trying to fill these for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So it did dip. I think this month, I haven't even counted, April, maybe like 20 to 25 signups or something. It was still.
But you're charging more now. You're not charging $500 anymore,
I'm still charging $500.
Oh, I thought you were saying I thought it was going up.
No, I said April's the last month. It's going to be 500. I don't know what I'm going to do for May. I don't know if I'm going to change the offer altogether, just raise the price. But yeah,
what you got to do, advance infographics and get all the people who went through round 1 back.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
New templates, new everything for all the people that already know how to make infographics.
Yeah, I thought about that. It's interesting too. I'm learning more and more. This is pretty common with training, but $500 is like basically an impulse buy. So there were people who were like, at the end, like ecstatic. This was amazing. I'm so glad I did it. It's such a great time. I learned so much. Thank you so much. And they never even made one.
Right? You know what I mean? Crazy?
Because they're just like, I don't really care. I'm trying to learn, So every round, there's some people who are like, yeah, you're going to freaking do this. And they'll have great results. But it's not like a super light lift. Like, you got to work at it. You got to learn the tool. You got to play around with it, or you got to get a designer involved.
You need time. You
need some time. Yep. So the cohort thing, I want to keep something going, but but I'm not sure exactly what the price point's going to be. And I got to decide that, like, honestly, by Monday for May, because I got to selling for May. Yep.
You're trying to balance the cohort and the one-on-one thing. And this is a conversation I have with a ton of people. Like, do you run a traffic-based business, like a cohort where you need to keep filling them all the time and market really hard? There's a conversation I've had with your brother too. Like him and Rob came on Household Scale and talked to Eric and me. And we were like, they run a business that is very traffic dependent. And they were like, it's a slog. And they're selling stuff that is thousands and thousands of dollars. And so it's like to be in that $500 kind of impulse buy market, it's still a slog. It's not better or worse, but it is a lot of work. And I'm way more interested in like the slower burn, like the one-to-one clients. Kind of just saves, I don't know, I find it saves people sanity. But you have something going for you, which most people don't, which is distribution. You have the ability to reach a ton of people, which is why when people are like, I'm going to start a $500 cohort, I'm like, you don't reach 50 people. Like, we don't reach enough people to fill that once. How are you supposed to fill it every month?
Yes. I've seen this all the time. People are like, I'm going to do a cohort. I'm like, bro, you got 4,000 followers and it's just not going to work.
Save yourself the anguish.
It's just not going to work. Like, it's not the right offer for that audience size.
I just think for you, you're trying to balance, or really you're in the part of figuring it out. And Eric and I have talked about this. Like, we've hired you to help us do the infographic thing. We want to see what it was all about. So we went through your one-on-one process and we've published those infographics. And we push them into all of the mini books that they're connected to. You're trying to balance, like, do I sell a traffic-based product? Do I have this traffic offer? Do I have this like one-to-one more relationship-driven offer? What's the mix look like for you right now?
So I do feel like, one, I love, even though I will argue about it with you guys a little bit online, I love your POV. I think it's so good and so true and so smart that, like, if you can get, and I'm probably going to butcher your POV, but like, if you can get more narrow in your targeting, more narrow in your marketing, sign higher ticket clients, you're just like a more sustainable business in so many ways. I love that. I think that's true and good. I think for better or for worse, maybe for some worse, regardless of whether it's a cohort or one-on-one, or I haven't even talked about this yet, but now I'm starting to do some like selling to enterprise training, like teams on EGC.
I want to talk about it. You teamed up with Heike.
Yeah. But for better or for worse, no matter where you sell it, the thing I'm selling is high traction infographics. We don't have to call them viral, but that's the brand. It's like, this performs well. So in order for me to sell anything to anyone, my content has to keep performing. So it doesn't even really matter where I'm selling it. At some point, if I stop getting traction, why would anyone want to buy it?
If they're like, Vince is saying these infographics go viral, but every single one of them has 10 likes.
Right. Or even 100, honestly, even 100 likes. So because of that, it's almost like I have to solve for that first. I have to solve for my own content getting high traction before anything else. The upside of that is, as long as it keeps getting high traction, then I keep having option to do lower ticket, higher volume, higher ticket, lower volume, enterprise, all those doors stay as long as the content is getting traction. If the content stops getting traction, they kind of all close.
Yeah, because you're selling the dream. Yeah.
I'm selling the dream.
Because it's like, I did it and you can too. Yeah, it's a very different sell.
Yes, exactly.
To your point, and when we work together, and we've talked about it, and we've talked about this even in like publicly in comments and stuff, which is like, the more people you work with, the worse things get in a lot of ways, or the harder it gets, because, and at least in my little echo chamber, my little corner of LinkedIn, like, you can't scroll 5 posts without seeing one of your graphics, like someone else running your play, which is great. Like, it's honestly really cool to see you do this thing. It's remarkable to see how people have adopted it and how people are taking it. But all of a sudden you start to see a lot of the same stuff. And not that the content's the same, but like all the visuals all of a sudden are following the same format and the same, like the pills and the move and stuff. And then even just the shapes. One thing you told us, you're like, I can't invent a new shape. Like all the shapes already exist. We have to like reorganize them. I was like, this is true. So you have to keep pushing and being ahead of what everyone else is doing to try and figure out new things so that you can continue to teach new things in order for it to continue to work. Because at some point, the same 3-circle Venn diagram or the same, funnel shapes, no one's going to stop on those because like I've seen this shape enough times to know what I'm about to see. How do you keep up?
Yeah, it is funny hearing you say this. I'm like, in terms of the spectrum of like what you guys advocate for, I'm probably about as far on the other side of that spectrum as you can possibly be, because it's not even just the content performing well, but it has to look new and different all the time and keep performing well. But some things I'm noticing is for some people, it bugs them if what they're posting via me looks similar to stuff already on the feed. Some people could not care less. They only care about performance, traction, engagement, likes, comments, that sort of thing. So for that crowd, what I'm discovering is that, let me put it this way. Remember when carousels were really big? They're gone now. Well, when carousels were really big, everyone was posting carousels. It might have been harder to sell carousels, but no one was like, I've seen a carousel before. Does that make sense? So as creators, we go, oh, this is too much infographics. But consumers, my perception is that consumers, it does not feel that way. It feels how carousels used to feel. They're not like, why are there so many carousels? They're like, oh, thank God, another carousel instead of some random selfie post or some text only post or some poll. Like, you stop for infographics, I stop for infographics, you stop for stuff that I like. And so it can distort how people are seeing what's actually happening on the feed. But the feed is still 99.9% not infographics. The same way when carousels were big, it was 99% not carousels. That's why carousels worked. So in terms of the feed, I think we're very far away from infographics as a thing being overly done. I think it will happen the same way I think it's happened with carousels. But I don't know if for the average person, if that big title at the top of the graphic is how to solve this problem that you have today, I don't think they even really notice, oh, I've seen a 3-circle Venn diagram, or I've seen a funnel, or I've seen a pyramid. I don't think they're thinking that way. They're just going, is this going to help me with something? And can I understand how it's working together? We see it through a creator's eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the vantage point matters greatly because my perspective is I see how these solopreneurs and these micro agencies are trying to market their business. And it's like, well, if everyone's kind of pulling the same levers, then at some point, does the lever become less effective? But only because my corner of LinkedIn is just so well calibrated at some point where it's like the people they're reaching don't have my feed. So the people they're trying to reach don't see only infographics. They've probably never seen an infographic in their feed. And it's hard to remember that because our little echo chamber is exactly that. It's like you're going to see so much of the same stuff and people talk about the same 3 things. That's what LinkedIn wants you to see for some reason.
Dude, yeah, you summed it up. We feel like it's everywhere. The creators also feel like it's everywhere, but the ICPs, they are clueless. And
they're not thinking about it. They don't care.
They don't care. They don't see it as much. If they do, they go, oh, I've seen a couple of these cool, like, moving things on LinkedIn. Those are cool. I'd like to see more of those. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that was more interesting than your selfie.
That was like, it's going to take a long time for a moving infographic to be less interesting than a random selfie.
Fair. All right, fair. That's a good hook. Yeah, I think you should write that post. Yeah, I think that's a good hook.
It'll happen at some point, but yeah.
I hope it never happens. I don't want that. I don't want selfies to be more interesting than infographics. Otherwise, we've lost the plot. Okay, so you team up with Heike, and now you're running this co-branded offer for enterprise or just bigger tech companies, not individuals. It's not a B2C offer in that way. First, how'd you end up teaming up with Heike?
Dude, it was like a divine intervention thing. That creator I talked about that we almost partnered, I've had like maybe 5 of those where I hit somebody up or someone hit me up and they're like, should we do this? I'm like, oh my gosh, the potential feels so high. And then oftentimes it would be weeks and weeks and weeks of talking back and forth before we said, should we go public? And one or both of us would pull the plug. This one, it was like a week. She hit me up and she was like, why do you say infographics are top of funnel? Video is top of funnel. And then we like went back and forth on that for a while because she does viral video. Like it is top of funnel the way she does it. And I'm like, for consultants, infographics are top of funnel because they're selling knowledge, not, entertainment. And she's like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And then we had like one call and she was like, you're really good at this format. I'm really good at my format. Let's just pitch it to corporations. And I was like, done. I don't even know why. It just like instantly made sense.
When it's right, it's right.
When it's right, it's freaking right, man. So it's still very early. We're talking to like 4 or 5 companies. One's paid already, which is amazing, in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks from like when we posted, like first person actually swiping the card. And we're stoked, man. We're both so pumped. I think, I don't want to speak for her, but if this snowballs, I think we both would be very open to ramping down some of the other things we're doing. I'm not saying altogether, maybe altogether, who knows? But I love teaching. Like, again, pastor background. I love getting a room excited. I love communicating. And it's like nearly impossible to actually get paid speaking gigs on some sort of like inspirational topic. You have to be like famous. Like you have to be like already an athlete, a pro athlete, or like survive a shark attack. You can't get paid 10 grand to go like, here's my inspiring story about being a pastor. Like, and we don't care. But,
my inspiring story about LinkedIn infographics.
Right. But if it's a company and they're trying to get their employees to post, we can say, hey, we'll get them pumped up for 10 grand on how to post on LinkedIn. So it's like what I feel best at in terms of my actual natural wiring. And it's the lowest lift and it's less virality dependent also. Because
which I like.
Yeah, which I, dude, I mean, fully I like as well. It's not like fun having to go viral every week at least. But yeah, because they really want consistency. They're at the stage of like, we have to start getting our team to post because those posts do 200 impressions versus our company Instagram or our company LinkedIn account, which will get 10 impressions if we post something like from the company page. They're like so early in the process that if we're like, here's how to write a hook, they're going to be like, this is so much better than anything we could have come up with. So yeah, the bar is way lower. They're not like, why didn't we get 100,000 impressions from a post? And I think me and Heike, we're both trying to really optimize for, I don't know why. Maybe I shouldn't say it. I mean, none of it's secret, but basically she's like, I got kids and I don't want to be working 1 million hours a week. I'm like, I got kids and I want to go back to pastoring and I want to find like the sort of lowest time to monetize this audience that I've built. So we're both solving for the same thing of less time, higher upside, more like in and out of things rather than deep in all these client projects. So we're super pumped. And she's great. Have you ever talked to her?
I've talked to her a bit in the DMs. I've never talked to her on a call though.
Yeah. I
feel like I know her in that way.
I know.
Someone you've talked to enough times. Yeah, you see her videos and we've chatted a bit.
She's super smart, very fun, very driven. So yeah.
Yeah, I know the feeling of finding a good partner and having a bunch of false starts with partners.
Similar to
before Eric and I, before we teamed up, I mean, I had a similar experience you did where I talked to a few people and you're kind of like, oh, this might work. And we kind of go back and forth trying to build something for a few weeks and maybe a few months. And then one person kind of just checks out. You get busy, and whether it's me or it's this other person, you're like, this isn't it. And then Erica and I, we just kind of clicked. We started a group program. You kind of have to work your way up to a more official partnership and like run a business together. So we had a joint offer and we're like, cool, like let's see how this goes. We like working together. And then we were like, hey, let's do this service together. And so it kind of ramps over time. Having a co-founder or a partner in this business is a major, major unlock. Like I know I talk about solopreneurs all the time and just that thing. And I joke that the great irony of solopreneurship is like no one goes alone, even though I sell primarily solopreneurs and all this stuff, but it's like the whole thing is like, no, everyone has somebody. Everyone has, and having a co-founder is like the best thing you could possibly do to double your odds of one, having fun and making the money you want and doing all the things. So the shape of that offer is shaped basically like a workshop setup where you guys will go out to a company and on site teach them all the things they need to know.
We can do it on site. Most companies we're talking to seem much more interested in just virtual. Yep.
Great. Even better.
I know. So yeah, it's like a 3-hour virtual workshop where we teach them all the basics. We're also finding neither of them care about video or infographics. They just want to get people started. So
right. Isn't that the funniest part about it? You're like, oh, I think they're going to care so much about thing A. And they're like, actually, like you could just kind of like, they don't care how the sausage is made. They just want to, are you going to do the thing or not?
Like teach us how to post. Just teach us how to get the basics. So we are going to hit video and infographics, but I think a lot of the results will be people just getting their first few posts out. So yeah, it's a 3-hour workshop. We'll each teach half. And then there's optional coaching follow-up, like $2,000 a seat for per month of people on their exec team. And that's largely just applying what they learned in the workshop. So it'll be us probably editing posts, tightening things up, like a relative compared to what I'm doing now with infographics, a much more straightforward process where they're doing the bulk of the creation and we're coming alongside, coaching, helping, editing. Yeah.
Well, it's significantly less work and higher impact. Like if you can activate 50 people in a company or something like that,
yes,
it makes a massive difference. So
yep, it's a lot more upside for them than when I work with a consultant.
I mean, just their at bats are 50x. So
yeah,
I like it, man. I think it's going to be good. Like I said, the partnership stuff has been one of the best things that I've ever done. And I think some people have good experiences, some people have bad. And I've had both where they kind of go nowhere. And I think this one's really different from some of the other basic stuff. I think what I like about it for you guys is that you have overlapping skill sets, but they're also complementary. Like you're not both LinkedIn video people. Like you both understand LinkedIn, but you also have skill sets that the other person doesn't. And I think people always tend to partner with someone else who has their same skill set. And then things get weird, or they're like, I'm not sure why this did or didn't work. Like Eric and I have very different skill sets, and that's with very little overlap. And it was like, oh, that's why this works so well. I mean, Anthony and Rob are the same thing. Like Anthony had said, he's like, I bring the content creation and Rob brings the PMM knowledge. That makes so much more sense as to how you make a partnership work in the long term.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think we're still figuring out like what we each bring from like a business side. Publicly, I think we bring different styles of creation or whatever. I think we have probably different gifts business wise as well. We're still sort of sorting out. But I mean, the biggest like immediate excitement has been maybe it's mostly psychological, but I think for both of us, it just feels easier to pitch. Something about let me come train you versus let us come train you. I don't know why. It just feels better, I think, coming out of both of our mouths.
Yeah, because you have, for the lack of a better term, a crutch. Like you have each other. Like she's not going to let me fuck this up. I'm not going to let her fuck this up. We're good. We're here to gut check each other when it's like, hey, here's the deck. Here's the training I'm going to give. And when you do that by yourself and you go, I hope it's good. And when you send your part of the talk to Heike and you go, I hope it's good. She goes, Vince, this is terrible. And you're like, thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me. Like now it can be so much better and you can work things out. Like that is the whole point. That support is why it works. Looking back, what's something you would have done differently?
That's a great question, man. It's hard to say. So many things didn't work. but then I feel like I learned so much from them. One, I wish I started an email list. I still have not done that.
You don't have a site either, which is I was looking at
No
it
website.
when I was researching this for this talk. I was like, he still doesn't have a site. It's like your site is your LinkedIn posts, which is like a testament to like how much a site doesn't really matter in the business that we're in.
Yeah. I think especially if you're selling LinkedIn content creation, people really don't care.
In that business, right?
Yeah.
In this business, you can get away without having a site.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's one. I don't know if I could have done it anyway, but that's like one thing that probably would have made things go better. I wish I had done the cohort thing. I wish I had tried more low ticket offers earlier on with the public speaking thing. I had one group one, and it was like, let's get in a group and write your talk. And it would always sell well, or it sold well for a while and then it stopped. And I was like, well, I guess I don't have a group option anymore. But if I had just tried something else, people would have bought something else. Again, there's downsides to low ticket, but if you have some traction, I wish I had just been more like, yeah, I'm just going to post something, and if no one buys it, no one buys it, and who cares? We'll try something else in a couple weeks, But I think I was very afraid of like posting something and no one buying, and then me feeling bad and thinking like people would notice, which like obviously no one's going to know. They're not even going to know, let alone notice if anyone bought the thing or not. So yeah, I wish I had tried more offers earlier on. I wish I had taken on clients a little slower with the infographics thing. I wish I'd gone a little slower, dialed in the system a little more, been a little slower to hire contractors. So I have some contractors working for me now, and like half the time that's just more complicated. It's actually working better than ever now because I got some pretty good designers now. But I think just pushing too hard, too fast, and letting fear take the wheel too much. I got to make that money. I got to beat last month revenue. And so I'm just going to like pitch this thing. I think I could have gone a little more slow and steady and been a little more sane.
Yeah, it's easy to say that, but like in the moment when people are like, can I hire you? You're like, of course you can.
I know. Yeah.
Of course you can. When can we start? And you're thinking like, don't say this week. Don't say this week. Don't say this week. Yeah. You're like, we can start this week.
Absolutely. Like we start tomorrow. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a kickoff time tomorrow. And you're like, oh my God, why did I do that? You're like, right, the money is nice. I like the money. I have a tiny human that relies on me to make this stuff. What's next for you, dude? What do you want to build that you haven't built yet?
Man, I think this workshop feels like the holy grail. If we can get that going and scale it, I'm going to freaking scale the other stuff down and then probably start the long road back into the church world.
Are you going to move again to re-enter the church world, or?
I think so. We live in Cincinnati right now, which we love Cincinnati, but both of our families are up north. My family's in Chicago. My wife's is in Wisconsin. So I'm guessing we'll end up somewhere in that area, like maybe Milwaukee, but it's still very early to know.
You thinking like the next like year, or is this like 5 years?
I'm thinking we'll probably make the call, make the decision of where, like 2026, and then maybe be back in 2027. But you never know. Sometimes these things take a long time. Maybe 5 years, and sometimes something pops up and I'm like, okay, I was planning on staying out longer, but this is like the right thing at the right time, and it's going to pull the trigger.
Just trying to prep the world for when they can't get their infographics anymore.
The feed's all empty. It's all selfies again.
It's all selfies again. Your crusade. Someone has to take over your crusade to rid the feed of selfies. Maybe that's the whole POV right there. It's just like we're trying to banish selfies from the LinkedIn feed, one infographic at a time. We will pump the feed full of infographics just so you don't have to see someone's selfie, any of their parasocial content. I would donate to that cause. You could accept donations. I guarantee people would join the cause.
I love that.
Vince, oh God, it's so good to jam with you, dude. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story with me. I know more people feel seen because of it. So thanks, brother.
Absolutely, man. Great connecting.
Vince, what would be your last meal on Earth?
My last meal on Earth.
Yeah. I don't care.
Wow.
You're not dying. You're leaving Earth to move to Mars,
With
and you don't know
Elon.
if they'll have it. It's a positive thing. Like there's nothing's wrong with Earth. You can come back,
Okay.
but you probably won't. And so it's their last meal here. You don't know what animals or what they're growing on Mars yet.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
safe
Okay.
to assume you
Okay.
can't eat it
There
anyway.
is a Thai place in Cincinnati called Asiana. It's the best Thai I've ever had, and it's in Cincinnati, which is amazing. The top three things there are maybe like my top three meals, but they have very good spicy basil fried rice. Could eat that every day. Their pad see ew is extremely good.
Sleeper Thai food right there. Pad See
Pad
Ew is
see ew,
sleeper.
100%.
No one knows about that.
Yeah. And then another similar sleeper is drunken noodles.
Really? I feel like everyone knows the drunken
Really?
noodles.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
that and the pad thai I feel like are like the go-tos for a lot of people, but
That could be. I did pad see ew before I ever did drunken noodles,
oh wow,
but
okay.
who knows?
Who knows? I
Who
mean,
knows?
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe people don't know about it.
Maybe you're just so
Then
cultured. The stuff that feels just pedestrian to you is
is
advanced to
yes.
everybody else.
So not obvious Thai food. You got it. Do you mango sticky rice?
No, I've not had that.
What?
I don't know if they have
Oh,
that there. I'll have to
they
check it out.
should. Every Thai place I've ever gone to, or the majority
Mango
of them.
sticky rice?
Yeah, it's a dessert. It is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It is like next level deliciousness. It's warm mango.
I love
Anyway,
that.
it's good. Look, I'm in. I love some Thai food,
Yep.
and I'm in. So whenever you leave, you let me know.
All right. That's a great question.